Hello everyone. You may have heard of Guantanamo Bay detention camp. There are many stories related to this prison. It was once closed by Obama, but later reopened by Trump. We know that this prison is used for military purposes, and most prisoners are terrorists. But have you heard of the political prison in China? Many top Chinese Communist Party officials were sent there, including the initial designer, who was detained and tortured for 9 years. Today let's look at this mysterious Qincheng Prison. If you drive along the 213 provincial road from Beijing, you will pass through the village of Qincheng in the Xinshou town of Changping district. At this location, there is a structure that cannot be found on any map. It is the Qincheng Prison, which only in recent years has been talked about. In the past, people were not familiar with this mysterious place. Qincheng Prison was established in 1958, designed by the Soviets, and was first put into use on March 15, 1960. It is one of the most famous prisons in China, with mountains on one side and plains on the other 3 sides. Many former top officials of the Chinese Communist Party have been held there. There are 3 things that make it unique. The first is that it is the only prison not under jurisdiction of the Ministry of Justice of the Communist Party, but instead is the Ministry of Public Security. In June 1983, in accordance with the principle that the public security organs are responsible for investigation, detention and pretrial, and the judicial administrative organs are responsible for rehabilitation, the Ministry of Public Security and the Ministry of Justice jointly issued a circular. Prisons and labour farms that were previously under the judicial, public security and agricultural reclamation systems were transferred to the judicial administrative departments for management. The exception is Qincheng Prison, which is still under the control of public security and under the control of the Ministry of Public Security. According to prisoners, the 50-year history of Qincheng can be divided into 4 periods. The first period was during the 1950s and 60s, where Japanese prisoners of war and Kuomintang war criminals with high rankings such as Guangmei, Du Yuming, Shen Zui, and Wen Qiang were targeted. In the second period, during the Cultural Revolution, senior rightists and so-called counter-revolutionary leaders were targeted. The highest-ranking prison in China was built by Beijing Mayor Peng Zhen and Vice Mayor Liu Ren. Public Security Minister Luo Reiqing chose the site, and City Public Security Director Feng Jiping was the personal supervisor. Vice Minister of Public Security Yang Qiqing took care of the construction work, and Vice Minister of Finance Hu Lijiao was responsible for budgeting and allocating funds. In the early years, Qincheng Prison was built to hold senior Kuomintang war criminals who had fought and killed the communists during the war. However, the senior Chinese communist officials who ordered and executed the construction of Qincheng were then imprisoned in 1966. They were Peng Zhen, Liu Ren, Luo Reiqing, Feng Jipeng, Yang Qiqing, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Public Security, and Hu Lijiao, head of the People's Bank. Others included Hu Feng, Xie Tao, Bo Yibo, Lu Dingyi, Zhen Zhongxun, Wang Guangmei, and even Mao secretaries Shi Zhe, Li Rui, Chen Boda. The third period was during the 70s and 80s. The main targets of imprisonment became members of the 2 groups of Lin Biao and the Gang of 4. Jiang Qing, Zhang Chunqiao, Wang Hongwen, Yao Wenyuan, and their party enemies Wu Faxian and Cui Huizuo, as well as Jiang Qing's secretary Yan Quangui, who was previously censored by Chen Boda, head of the Central Cultural Revolution Group. Since the 90s, the main targets of imprisonment have been updated again. They included corrupt officials at the provincial and ministerial level and above, such as Chen Kejie, Chen Xitong, Chen Liangyu, Bo Xilai, Wang Lijun, Tian Fengsheng, Liu Fang, and Li Jizhou. The second feature of Qincheng Prison is the layout of the building. It is different from other prisons in many ways. The hardware, software, and the various facilities are all special. Initially, the prison had 4 white buildings, A, B, C, and D, which all had interrogation rooms. They were all 3 stories high, having walls made of brick with sloping roofs. Each building is a separate complex, consisting of a large open space in front of the building, which is used for prisoners to let off steam. The door of the cell was made of wood and wrapped in iron, and there were peepholes above the door and the toilet for the sentries to monitor the prisoners 24 hours a day. The only regular facility in the room was a low bed about a foot above the floor. Only when they needed to write things down would the management send in a single school-style desk for temporary use. But a chair is never available, and the bed is where the prisoner usually sits. The walls inside the felony cells were specially made so that prisoners could not commit suicide by banging into them. The windows in the cells were about 1 square metre in size and more than 2 metres off the floor, with the seals facing upward. Windows were opened by lifting them upwards and then pushing them outward. There were 3 layers of window: the screen, the iron grille, and the frosted glass window. All permanent facilities in the interior were intentionally de-angled and polished into rounded shapes. There is a light bulb with a frosted lampshade cover wrapped in wire mesh hanging from a 3.5 metre ceiling. With such layers of wrapping, the light is naturally very dim. Prisoners do not yet have the power to control this dim light source, because its switch is placed outside the cell and is operated by the guards. Before the Cultural Revolution, Qincheng Prison had 400 cells with all the necessary facilities. After the Cultural Revolution began, the number of VIP prisoners increased so much that it was almost necessary to wait in line to get into the prison. In 1967, Qincheng Prison added 6 new buildings and 6 new yards. These 6 new prison buildings were named in order: E, F, G, X, N, and D. Prisoners are also named by code numbers. The numbers are divided into 2 parts, with the first 2 digits marking the year of the prisoner's incarceration. The last 2 digits indicate the number he was assigned to when he was incarcerated in that year. For example, 6901, the first 2 digits represent the year 1969, and the last 2 digits represent the first person in order of admission that year. There are 2 types of prisoner, individual and collective, depending on their rank. This rank is usually based on the prisoner's official position prior to his or her admission, or sometimes on the extent of the prisoner's involvement in a particular incident. We will continue our story in the next episode and find out what happened to the original designer, Feng Jiping. Thank you for watching. If you like our show, please like and subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. See you next time.